Thank you to the new followers, the new subscribers from the training camp videos, the training camp tweets on Twitter, and also the Jason Pinnock viral interception video that I took. Thank you guys for coming in. We're making our way to 1.4K subscribers, and we appreciate you guys as always. So, another roster bubble series video. In these videos that usually take about 5 to 10 minutes long, I take a player that's on the cusp of being cut, and I talk about their background. I talk about their competition. I talk about how they could win a spot on the roster, and I talk about how they could lose a spot on the roster as well. So we're going to talk about a guy that's fairly new to this New York Giants football team, and that is Cole Beasley, 34 years old. Well, he's new to the Giants, but he's not new to the Giants because guess what? He's played in division before. But anyway, 34 years old, 5'8", 174, was an undrafted free agent out of SMU and signed with the Cowboys in 2012. He was there till 2018, no Pro Bowls or anything like that, but he was one of the top receivers in the offense for Tony Romo and for Dak Prescott during his time there. Cowboys elected not to bring him back. Signs with the Buffalo Bills in 2019 to 2021. Signs with the Bucs in 2022, plays 2 games, voluntarily retires, then comes back with the Bills in 2022, and now he's a New York Giant. So there is a connection, obviously. Yeah, he's been in a division before with the Dallas Cowboys, but Joe Shane, Brian Dable had, obviously some association with him back when all of those guys were in Buffalo, amongst other players that they have brought in. So I'm just going to read some recent stats that are relevant, probably up to 2020, maybe 2019, because obviously I don't want to go too far back. But I also, real quickly, just want to go over his playoff stats real quick because I think that is, of course, relevant. So he played in 2 games for Buffalo in the playoffs, one against Cincinnati and one against Miami. Miami was the game they won. Against Miami, he had 1 touchdown, 2 receptions, 35 yards. And then against Cincinnati, he had 3 receptions for 33 yards, no touchdown there. So he had a total of 5 receptions for 68 yards and 1 touchdown in the playoffs, which is not bad. It's not bad considering the fact that he retired for a little bit and then came back in. But with Buffalo in the regular season, he had a total of 2 catches for 18 yards, and in Tampa Bay, for the 2 games he played in, 4 catches, 17 yards. The year before that with Buffalo, 82 receptions, 693 yards, and 1 touchdown. Obviously, you factor in a couple of different pieces like Gabriel Davis getting more involved in the offense and stuff like that. The year before that, in 2020, 82 receptions, 967 yards, 4 touchdowns. And 2019, his first year with Buffalo, 67 receptions, 778 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And the snap percentage, not including playoffs, with Buffalo, he played 17 snaps on offense in those 2 games and 13 snaps on offense in 2 games with Tampa Bay. With Buffalo, he played 62% of the snaps in 16 games in 21. 66% of the offensive snaps in 15 games in 20, and then 73% of the offensive snaps in a total of 15 games in 2019. So there is that. Now, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting battle. Obviously, we've talked about many wide receivers when it comes to the roster bubble. And he's in an interesting spot right now. A lot of people probably predicted, he's going to get cut or he's going to stay on the roster. Right now, it's pretty interesting because Jamison Crowder is back from the NFI. Sterling Shepard is back from PUP. They're obviously not getting 100% reps in the slot. So you have Paris Campbell, and Beasley has actually been getting some one-team reps, and he's been doing fairly well over the last few days. There was 1 rep, I think it was on Thursday, where he was just locked down by Darnay Holmes in one-on-ones, which obviously you don't want to see. But he's been battling back the last few days, and on Sunday he beat Darnay Holmes for a touchdown in one-on-ones, and Darnay Holmes really struggled. I tweeted that out if you haven't already followed the Twitter. But just something of note, and then also as well, he's got other competition besides those 2 guys who maybe, Crowder's a make it, maybe he's not a make it. Sterling Shepard, I think, is not on the roster bubble. I think, he's here for a year, and obviously they'll play it by ear after 2023. But Khalil Pimpleton, who is mostly a special teams guy, punt returner, kick returner, that type of guy, but he can also play the slot, and he's been decent. He hasn't had the loudest of camp, but he's not been too quiet either. Jaden Mickens, who's been decent, probably a little bit less in terms of attention than a guy like Khalil Pimpleton, but Mickens can also play the outside, though he's not necessarily talented like some of the other outside receivers we have. David Sills, who is mainly just a second-string guy, Daniel Jones' buddy. Colin Johnson, who's had a really good camp thus far, picking up where he left off last year. Bryce Ford Wheaton, undrafted free agent out of West Virginia, who's been quiet over the last few days, and Jeff Smith, you could say the same as well. So he's got a lot of competition now. Cole Beasley, kind of like Jamison Crowder. Obviously, yeah, both played in division with the Giants before. Beasley with the Cowboys and, Crowder with the Redskins, the Commanders, whatever the hell you want to call them. However, with that being said, both guys are older and they don't play special teams anymore. I mean, Cole Beasley hasn't had a punt return since like 2018. He's not going to be any use there. I think probably the speed has died down, especially when I mentioned that one rep on Thursday where he was just completely locked down by Darnay Holmes, and Darnay Holmes is not the best of slot corners, especially against man coverage. However, let's slip into how he can win. Stay healthy is the number one thing. He did have a quad injury that caused him to be out for a practice, and then they had the day off on Saturday. But stay healthy. I mean, that's going to be a simpleton answer, but also it's going to be a path to, how he makes this roster or another roster, because there's a ton of competition. And the fact that he stayed healthy for the majority of the first part of camp while Shepard was down, while Crowder was down, that tells the Giants, hey, listen, this guy can stay on the field either as a backup or, one of the top starters that we have. So that just shows reliability and durability at this point. He's 34, so you can't really expect too much, but that's a good sign. Show some burn in the slot, make the slot corner position tougher. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mentioned the thing on Sunday about him burning Darnay Holmes in the slot. Maybe try to burn Cordell Flott in the slot. Maybe do that a little bit, when you have your opportunities. And also avoid drops. He's had a little bit of a drop issue the last few years, but with that being said, he's also got more attention, and the catch percentage is actually pretty high. So stay away from those drops, especially when you're trying to make the roster. You're on the downside, you're on the back burner of your career. Avoid those drops. So stay healthy, show some burn in the slot, avoid drops. How can he lose? Age wears on slot speed. I really want to see him go up against Cordell Flott. Now, it's not going to make a difference against Zion Gilbert because, yeah, we've seen him against Darnay Holmes, and Darnay Holmes is better than Zion Gilbert. But I want to see him go up against Cordell Flott and maybe Daniel Jones throw a couple of passes there, because that will tell us, was Cole Beasley just taking advantage of Darnay Holmes' weaknesses that we've been, seeing for years now? Is his age wearing on his speed? Is Cordell Flott not good enough? There's a lot of questions that could be answered there, hypotheticals too, and conclusions could be drawn. But I think there, if you put Flott against a guy like Cole Beasley, and Flott's very physical, he's bulked up, he could maybe show some of Beasley's weaknesses. Obviously, it wouldn't prove good for Beasley, but we could see if the age is starting to wear on his slot speed. Hands aren't the same. I mean, he's had a good catch percentage for most of his career, so there's nothing to boo-hoo on that. But I mean, he's got to have good hands. He's got to have good hands, especially in these preseason games. That's going to be a big part. That's going to be a big part of his game, especially if he wants to earn a spot on the team as a backup or a practice squad player, and also if he gets injured at some point. But once again, to recap, how can he win? Stay healthy, show some burn in the slot, avoid drops. How can he lose? Age wears on slot speed, hands aren't the same, not healthy. I don't have him making the roster, unfortunately. I think the Giants are too stacked up in the slot. It was very convenient for the Giants and not convenient for Beasley that Sterling Shepard and Jamison Crowder came back as fast as they did. So, I mean, once again, it was nice that Beasley got some reps with Paris Campbell in the slot, but the Giants are not going to keep like 4 slot receivers. Not to mention Colin Johnson has some special teams capabilities, and he could also play in the slot and the outside as well and do a couple of different things. But like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate coming back. One of these every single day to the middle of training camp, and then a roster prediction afterwards. With that being said, there's going to be more training camp vids coming out. Tomorrow I plan on doing one. Thursday I plan on doing one, and that might be it, depending on plans for this weekend for me, because I think Tuesday excuse me, not Tuesday, Friday and Saturday, the last few days that they're open to the fans, and I might be occupied that day. But training camp is here. Our first NFL preseason game is 11 days away, but the first actual preseason game is about 3 days away, so I can't wait to call it on here. Football is back. Like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff, and we'll see you next time, guys. Let's go Big Blue.